Oh boy, is it a good thing I didn't try to push through the chapter completion yesterday. I got a lot of work done that involved being outside yesterday after the stream. And yeah, if I didn't do it yesterday, then I'd be screwed today, because it is frickin' pouring out there! I mean, we desperately needed the rain, but at the same time, whoo boy! That's a lot. Hope everybody's having themselves a good one as we find ourselves at the start of another stream. Gonna be playing some more Make a Good Mega Man Level 3. All that good stuff. Yes. Hopefully everything's functioning. I did just turn on the computer fresh, so... You know what? I should check the capture card right now. Let me check it. Hey, it's functioning! Woo! Hopefully it stays that way. Can I send you some rain? I mean, I'd gladly send you some, but we desperately need some too right now. The downpour going on right now might not even be enough. It's like, I'd be quite good with the place not being on fire again. That would be nice. Oh, summers are just getting drier and drier, man. Alright, let's go ahead and get the game booted up, though. Set it to the correct default monitor. Hopefully this doesn't make it freak out. Didn't make the capture card freak out. It did not. Good. I've checked it twice, so if it screws up again, I'm gonna be so mad! And so we continue on into the food court. Are people hungry? I didn't really have much for lunch, but I'm making burritos tonight. Last time we finished off by getting ourselves a mayonnaise sandwich. And we're heading on up the escalator. To level 79. What the heck do you want, Sonic Man? The prices of these feels outrageous. I run a drive-thru and I've never heard of a personalized convenience fee. Oh no, how topical! Sir, this is what you get for going to a Wendy's. You didn't want to pay at the counter, so they had to bill me to deliver the check to you personally. I'm the magnificent gourmet, the golden chef, please. I invite you to eat my hat! Yeah, sure, I'll eat your hat. And I'm important. This has to be an E-tank, right? I would imagine, considering the other two were W and M tanks. This is a W tank? Alright, in that case. That was not a W tank! That was very much not a W tank! That's an E-tank, okay, good. That's what I figured. I'll make sure to burn through an E-tank at some point during the stage. Rockbound facility! My Jimmy Turner. 11-3. All right, it's a decent number. Let's go. This is your commander speaking. We have reports that a hostile robot has taken control of the facility. Please investigate as soon as possible. Over. And so we have a very, very quiet Mega Man 5 remix for the Game Boy. These things are only vulnerable when their eyes are open, which is a very subtle tell, but still. Volume balancing. Forever the struggle throughout this contest it feels. It's like... Yeah, I'm gonna buy the mystery key. I don't know if I'll use it right away, but I'll buy it. Wait, was that just a spare capsule? Yeah, being able to go through the chain makes such a difference. Yeah, I got something different there. It didn't look like the normal gachapon. I do appreciate the subtle details of this particular tile set, by the way. I did only get a very small glance at the gachapon, so I mean, it might have looked the same. Okay, yep, the expected mini-boss! In all of its glory! Okay, I can't still hit it with a charge shot. The last time I got a repeat, it at least made me open it up. Yo, Eddie, what's up? Thanks, I guess. It's not the most colorful tile set, but I like it. It looks good. It's a simple but effective aesthetic. See, here's the thing, I didn't wait to use an E towards the end of the stage, because there might be E's in the stage, like that one. You know, probably one of the nicest things about the compass, it's just that it lets me know exactly which one of the split path leads to the token. Because this is a token path that wasn't hidden at all. But it's nice to know before having to transition the screen which path is correct and which one is not. Yep. But thankfully, this level's designed quite well, so you can actually see that you're in the token path immediately, because the tokens are shown at the very start of it. Okay, there we go. Said to wait patiently! gonna be a little bit tricky. Here we go. You know, this just feels like a good level. It's one of those things where it looks good, it plays well, it's got some gimmicks that it's using over and over and building upon them. It's not a whole lot of enemy variety, but I mean, they all make sense. Eat. And a little change up in visual appearance from one section to the next is actually very much appreciated. We're out of the brown zone and into the green zone. Alright, and we get little cool things working with this platform. Slide down there. I mean, this is definitely one of the better levels I've enjoyed in the contest so far. Need to get past this punk. You know, I think it's time for Ice Wall. Goddamn Ice Wall, why do you gotta suck? Look, I'll take any opportunity I get to take pot shots at Ice Wall, even if they're not deserved. Okay, Lace Trident's coming out. Row, row. Wait, why is this one easier than the previous one? A little bit harder to land the charge shots from down below, but it is a little bit funny. And this one's actually less dangerous. It's just more annoying to hit, which means... an M-tank, huh?
Oh! We found a bug! Oh no, that actually sent me pretty far back.
I bet Flashman's gonna find that one! Flashman's been real good about the screen transition issues! Okay, that's what I figured.
Fresh meat.
I gotta be a little bit more patient with that section. I imagine that's supposed to teach me that you can just wait for those blocks to land over the spikes and you'll be fine. Well, you know, waiting. Guys, the big downside to dying is like we were into the good part of the song, and it was looping nicely. But now we have to go through the slow intro again. Alright, let's be patient this time. Do they keep falling? Oh yeah, they keep falling. No, that Fresh Beat Boys clip is just me pitch changing the Butcher from Diablo 1. I'm getting my M-tank. Just this time, you know, let's be careful and just walk here. Wait, doesn't that mean like if I screen transition back into this thing, I might be able to blow up as well? I'm not gonna test that because the checkpoint's right here.
But like,
Yeah, mini boss is straight out of Is it the Uranus stage? I think it's the Uranus stage. Game Boy's a good game. One of those things. It's a little bit underappreciated because it was a Game Boy game. What was over here again? Ah, W. I suppose I can grab a W. Getting a little spicy. Think carefully. It's probably gonna be another med or something. Nope. And that shield attacker has left and is not coming back.
Alright, we're here.
Uranus themselves? Yeah, alright. This is a fight where you really want to try to stay center screen as long as possible. Oh god, it's still rumbling, chat! It's still rumbling! Okay, it stopped. According to Dr. Wiley's order, you will find this adorable. I did forget to use an E-Tank, it's true. That's the problem with having to use it at the very end of the stage. I'll be very distracted. Alright, hang on, swapping on my drink. And then... That's really good! I like that one a lot. There was a couple of functionality issues, but other than that... Alright, let's see... Had a good challenge progression, although the second mini-boss being a little bit easier was a little odd, but other than that... That was good! I like that. Creativity, I mean, it is mostly just the same as platforms. The setup's like, it's very similar to Mega Man 5 Game Boy in that fashion. Still good, though. Had a good time with this one. I think I'll rate it well in fun. Lunch is taking a big hit, both for the audio balancing and for the unfortunate screen transition. And aesthetics were solid. The change up halfway through was very important as it helped keep everything from looking like just a brown mess the entire time.
Well, brown mess actually is a good...
Like, it's a good tile set. But you know what I mean, not so monocolor. Oh, good on you then. Let me see, what is this total up to? $61. It's good. Ah. This is a perfect example of a very solid level. It looks good, plays well. It's not too long, though it is slightly long. And has a good progression throughout. While it does not do anything too crazy, these are the types of levels I could play all day and be perfectly happy. Just feels like a proper Mega Man level, you know? Now, it is a bit derivative of Uranus' stage from Mega Man VGP, but with gimmicks, mini-bosses, the boss themselves. But it does, at least, do a fair lot of different setups to make it its own. Not using the exact same tile set also helps a lot there. The tile set itself is visually pleasing and had lots of extra little details to keep it from being homogeneous without it being overly busy. A good eye for detail here. Now there were some bugs, mostly involving a screen transition of doom and audio balancing issues, because those always keep coming back. Very good. Did enjoy. I see. Uranus graphics, Uranus music, Uranus platforms. I guess I didn't really recognize the Uranus graphics because, you know, Game Boy. Should probably reiterate that comment a little bit. See, sure, it is still Uranus's graphics. But at least these are colorized pleasingly. 100T Common and Uranus himself. Yeah, this feels like it's an attempt to remix Uranus' stage. As far as remixes go, this is a bit more different than the norm. Instead of the rocket heads and moving platforms, we get stone blocks and shield attackers. There's also press, space, bet, and carry, with Adamski as a dishonorable mention. Because all he really does is mask the intro of the fairly cool remix. For me, the highlight of the stage is Shield Attacker. I'm used to this enemy being fairly cut and paste with little to nothing interesting. In this placement, however, this level has a lot of good Shield Attackers. It's true! Particularly in tandem with the various platform gimmicks. Spaceman is also surprisingly threatening, though this is mostly because he's quite good at knocking people into pits. Finally, T-Common's second battle was something he desperately needed, making him a lot more fun and less annoying. Of course, this makes his regular version harder than his second version, which is a bit off for the difficulty curve. Yeah, there's that. Well, assets I didn't mention are, as a whole, inoffensive. The level's design is solid, with good intros, fun challenges, and a gradual build, a decent climax. Unfortunately, the remix aspect can be more than a little boring, especially since this doesn't fix the excessive length issues from Uranus' original stage. More importantly, the graphics feel incredibly boring. Really? Normally, Mega Man stages have a fairly vibrant palette. This just looks washed out and dull. While the aesthetic here is completely functional, its weaknesses definitely dropped the fun score. Why is it not green enough for you? In the end, the level's decent, but it's hardly great. Uranus' stage is one of the weaker ones in the series, but this needs a bit more work to become the improvement he needs. It's a very middle-of-the-road / average level. I tried for the longest time to think of a better opening description for it, but I honestly couldn't. These types of stages are always the most difficult to talk about, as they typically don't offer much to discuss. The platforming in this stage is that middling zone where there's nothing outstanding about it, but also nothing wrong with it either. If anything, I'd say there's only a few major faults here, besides the level itself being a bit bland. The first of these is the enemy selection. The sheer amount of shield attackers and handus make many sections of this level a chore to get through without weapons. Sadly, the laser trident basically becomes a staple of this stage throughout the first half. Look! You may as well just replace the Buster with laser trident in this contest. I'm just saying. Thankfully, the number of shielded enemies gets toned down after the first mini-boss, but then starts to pick back up again closer you get to the end. The other major problem here is the stage's length. This level should have wrapped things up at around the point the second mini-boss showed up, but it just kept going, coupled with platforming segments that felt interchangeable at best, and no real noticeable difficulty curves outside of maybe some of the token rooms. It makes for a stage where I honestly couldn't recall many parts of it that were actually engaging. Like I said, Shinryu has a very clear bias towards very hard levels. He wants to be mentally engaged, and Shinryu of 5 years ago wanted that to be engaged through ball-busting difficulty. Really, there's not much else to say beyond that. The basis for platforming segments is decent, as said, but I really could have done with a more distinct difficulty curve and better enemy selection to make it stand out more. We're getting very familiar with the judge's particular biases as we go along. A rock solid level. Patchy. Yes. Yeah, it's just something I'm noticing throughout your reviews from back in the day, Shinryu, is that when the harder the level is, the more you tend to mention it being engaging. It's probably just from a case of having played so many Mega Man games over the years as is, but it is definitely the most consistent things I've noticed, that if the level's pretty tough, then you'll definitely call it more engaging. The difficulty is nailed pretty well. Stage length is good, although maybe a little on the longer side, yeah. And the token locations are nicely marked and decently challenging. Really like the usage of the sinking rock platforms, especially the parts where there's spikes right beneath them. Quite clear setups going on there where you can stand on where the spikes were before the rock would sink down further.
Yeah, I mean, there is a diminishing returns point, Geist. It's like harder, but not like, oh dear God, somebody end me hard. Oh.
Platforming portions are fair in design and forgiving, but still provide a decent challenge. I found the first encounter with the mini-bosses, with the swaying platforms with gaps in between, to be a lot harder than the second encounter, where it's simply a stretched, rotating platform, and you can keep jumping to avoid sinking too far down. Yeah. The shield attackers may be a bit abundant throughout. Could probably cut to the ones that are just strafing back and forth with no other obstacle, for example. Surely enough, Uranus is the boss of the stage, if the music, tile set, and gimmicks / mini-bosses weren't enough of a giveaway. It's a fitting boss fight for the stage for sure. Definitely wraps up this sort of reimagining of the Uranus stage nicely. Several levels in this contest have Rock War Facility in the title, so it's perhaps unsurprising that I couldn't immediately recall any details about this level when I went to replay it for this review. What is surprising, however, is how much of the level I still can remember even after I got back into it. In terms of things that upset or excite me enough to stick in my memory, this level is very middle of the road. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I can forgive the long load times. The delectably moody music almost works better with that bit of anticipation up front. The visuals are clean and appealing, and the enemies and gimmicks make sense and work well together. But I pegged this as a riff on my MAGMML3 level long before it registered as a remix of Uranus from Mega Man 5. Different assets in space, rock level starting with a text box giving instructions felt awfully familiar. I don't mind some familiarity though, as long as the gameplay makes up for it. The difficulty is unremarkable, perhaps even too easy if you bust out special weapons. The token paths are interesting, but it isn't until the last 10 to 12 screens that the main path really hits its stride. The boss is acceptably generic, although they could stand to be trickier. The mini-bosses follow the standard fight and harder fights format that I so enjoy. So the wow factor isn't entirely there, but I like the overall design. The layout is intuitive, enemy placement is thoughtful, it's nice to see Hendu getting some love, and everything feels fair and deliberate. My main suggestions are to condense the screen count a little and check all falling block puzzles for potential logistical problems. Oh, and maybe ditch the text box at the start. If that's all the story we're gonna get, the fact that this is a Mega Man level is already enough of an excuse to go blow up robots.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this is a stage remake. As I may have said several times already, the stage remakes have an uphill battle. Stage remakes need to bring something new to the table. I don't want to just play the original stage, but worse. If I wanted to play, say, Uranus' stage, I could just boot out my copy of Mega Man 5. And the stage decided to go the wrong way down the hill. This is literally just Uranus' stage with the weird and wacky enemies of 5 gameplay replaced with what are basically stock assets. I have everything as wacky as a sea lion doing ball tricks and birds somehow flying the depths of space named after a word for vomit when you can have mine carts in a mine and space mechs in space. Which of course so did every other mine level and space level use those the enemies too. It really doesn't help how basic that those enemies are either. Although the few space mechs that are positioned just perfectly to knock you into a pit as you try to traverse slow platforming, segments are really nice and not all cute. The dev kit is huge and contains some wacky stuff. To have had any chance at all, this stage needed to explore it rather than going with the obvious and using the first thing that pops into your head. Oh, I guess he kept Andrew around, and he brought his cloning machine with him. There was a reason Uranus barely used that asset. He's a very, very slow to deal with enemy, and the already slow level gets even slower. So, yeah, this is Uranus' stage for worse. Much worse. There was a further uphill climb for me, as I, along with many others, really do consider Uranus' stage the weakest of the Star Droids, simply due to the sheer length and lack of variety, which the level further reinforces with that whole stock assets thing. There are segments that would be copy-pasted from the original, except for the screen resolution. The mini-boss is just more awkward to deal with here. The few token rooms feel not only obvious to get spot, but also basically pointless, as it's more of the same rather than anything novel. I mean, there are harder challenges than the regular stage. This is probably up there with the Ancient Tomb stage from MAGMML3, but I guess this isn't completely a copy-and-paste job, so yeah, whatever. I'm not even fond of the aesthetic. I don't know if it's something you found on the internet or your own, but if you did make it, I feel using a Wily Wars style background alongside NES style enemies means the entire thing feels disjointed and off-putting. The fact the stage is effectively flat, lacking the parallax and tileset variety found in Wily Wars, just makes it dull to look at. This is probably a first effort, or close to one, so maybe I'm being too harsh here, but I implore people that wish to do stage remixes to find ways to bring new life to the stage's best qualities and diverge where it makes things more interesting. Even with just the dev kit, several entries this time have proved you can teach old dogs new tricks. All this stage ended up doing is sucking the life out of what was already a rather lifeless stage. Yeah, imagine. That was definitely a bit much. You can really tell that with Ace there, that it was the sheer number of stage remixes and the general distaste for Uranus' stage coming through in full force. And finding a target would be the best way of putting that. People behind me to stop. I can't enjoy my pepper shaker like this. Sorry, I don't have time to be social. I'm up to my neck doing work.
Well, it was only a matter of time before the joke was made.
Well, I'm kind of disappointed this place isn't more crowded. I like watching people wait in line behind me. What? Oh, cutting the line, I get it. Thermal tundra. Gyros! Or Gyros Heroes, I guess would be the proper way to say it. We haven't had a skip portal in a bit, but there it is. Let's see, water? No, obviously not ice with ice. We're gonna have to like melt this and come back? Probably. Oh, I see! It's a race back! Damn it. What hit me? I overheated! God, freaking bikes jump so bad! I don't think by the end of this entire contest I'm gonna get used to how bad the bike is at jumping. Go, go, go! Whee! I got that gimmick figured out, so let's move! I guess I need to be at least in a certain level for me to start melting things. Let's vent our heat a little bit. Yep, I need to get to at least 2 orange for me to be able to melt things. Got it. Cool down more quickly in water. Good to know. Feel the sizzle. Taste the sizzle. Overheated a little bit. Also, is that a checkpoint screen with enemies that respawn on it? Wait, why do these jellies have 2 HP? Arbitrarily can't reach there without utilities. That's an interesting choice. Yeah, I'm gonna try for that E-tank. I need to have so much heat going on before I can get through here, huh? I have to make it all the way from here. Alright. My time! I'm gonna be making a lot of use of the bike! Wow, really? I need to stay heated this long? Alright, hang on! Gotta get somewhere fast? Well, we know what to use! Go, go, go! Yeah, literal Hot Wheels. Just gonna preemptively get myself all heated up. What? Too much heat. I shouldn't have heated up. Oh, nice. The dripping snow can cool me down. Alright, so it's gonna be an exercise in keeping myself cool, I see. Ow! Okay, I see. So those are like a time limit before they just nuke the screen? Sure?
I'm the coolest.
Oh good, now the birds explode. Good lord! What are these jumps? Yeah, the smoke's exploding from the heat! Oh, you son of a bitch! I saw it coming, but I still went for the jump anyways because I was heating up. That's a lot of things to be having going on at the same time. I'm gonna read. Alright, gotta make sure to cool down fully before I go into the... What the... before I go into the next screen. I saw snow drip from here! Why isn't it dripping? And then you have to try to have the vent shoot you up there as well? My god! Alright! That's a lot! That is quite a lot! Gonna wait until we're fully cooled down, and then we're gonna... I guess you just have to gun it in this section. This is so much.
That's asking so much.
Without just resorting to utilities. Gotta wait it out again. It takes a long time to venture heat. Got it! I'm gonna overheat, but I mean, like, I got it! Lava Devil! Oh, it's Zack and Phoenix with heat platforms. Whew. Wait, I have it on the wrong tab. I'm trying to think of more the interior for 63 months. This is so long. I mean, we're still a relatively small channel in the grand scheme of things. Okay, the steam vents are also increasing my heat. Good to know. I didn't really notice it at first because I was trying to figure out everything else that was going on. Oh hey, we have the opposite issue going on now. Alright, and now I need to be cold enough. Hang on a second. To freeze the water. Wait, why am I constantly getting colder? I'm gonna die. You know what? I need to reach neutral. See, my problem here is I've created a bit of a situation for myself. But I might be able to make this work. No, I need heat. I have an idea. Okay, yeah, actually, let's die. The problem was I got too cold at one point. You need to get the first part frozen, but not freeze the second part. So just a second. I need to get hot. Getting hot. Am I gonna unleash this guy? There we go, there we go. And now we can let ourselves get cold. And now I need to get neutral. Gonna have to be pretty quick, though. Let's try to get ourselves as neutral as possible.
Yoink! Oh yeah, sure, there's a steam vent there. Whatever, I got it.
Oh, there's spikes there. Freaking micromanagement in my Mega Man video game. Okay, I need to be cold enough to produce ice when I land, otherwise I'll fall to my death. Ah! Okay, the steam is continually breaking the ice. That's good to know. So if I'm gonna stand there, I have to stand a little off to the side. I require heat! More heat! Okay, yeah, I cool down too fast to actually get hot. Hey, if you're hot enough, you can get this E-tank. No, I'm good. I'm good on that one, Chief. Actually, I guess the intention is to do this. Oh no, he's back! Actually, I kinda need him at this point. Yeah, give me that heat. I'm gonna warm up. Gonna rest our hands on the lava devil. Actually, wait, I need to be at least cold enough to produce ice. I'm too cold! Thank you, Steam. There's so much micromanagement in this level, Jesus Christ! toasty. I like being toasty. Ah, too cold. Gonna freeze. Ah, toasty. But not too toasty. I'm not cold enough. I need to be colder. 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 Colder! Nope, nope, that's too hot. I made it. Well, I mean, I need to use an E-tank anyways, so... Is this just Magma Man? Alright, now we're ice form. Oh, we're getting hot! The explosions are coming! I need to move! Sure, that was bust. No, I got out of the way of the steam real quick. I knew it was about to explode, so I went to a safe distance. There's so much to process.
My brain was not awake enough for this level right now.
No, I shot him. I got him with a charge shot at the end. I know it was covered partially by the steam, but that's exactly what happened. I mean, I'd say Tundra Man, but that's already an official Mega Man Robot Master. Alright, this was definitely taking a hit for design because it's
Really overwhelming.
Where's the skip teleporter? I mean, it's gotta be Fragile Man and Itch Man. Let's be honest here. Oh wow, it's Fragile Man and Itch Man.
Who could have seen that one coming?
This level is skippable due to its difficulty. Having an awkward gimmick only exacerbates that difficulty. I never thought I could get frostbite and third-degree burns at the same time, but I do now! We pick copies of the tokens here because lots of them are tied to the temperature gimmick, which can be cumbersome. All that freezing and reheating, boiling and cooling, they tell me it's not to scratch, but I can't help it! I mean, it's creative. I can definitely give it that much. It's not very fun, is the problem. Functionality-wise, I mean, it all worked. I didn't run into any weird bugs or anything. Some of it's visually unclear, which I will take some points off for function, but otherwise, everything's worked just fine. The aesthetics are serviceable, they're fine. They're a little dull here and there, but could be worse. I saw in 50. Alright. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay. This level reeks of only being playtested by the level author all that much. It has some classics. beginner to your average level design, where you get a cool idea, then go really way too far with it because the level feels easy to yourself, but once it gets into other people's hands, well, that skip teleporter is there for a very good reason. While I personally managed this level just fine, the amount of micromanagement going on in this stage is ridiculous. Like, dang, I was not awake enough for this at this time of the day. I can certainly see the merits of the hot and cold gimmick. It's just the setups used with it are too much. They start out tricky and go all the way to, oh good lord, you are expecting me to do the what now? Thankfully, Rush Bike helps a lot with the more race-like sections. Gotta zoom fast! Like I said, tis a neat idea. I do like it in concept. Just not in execution. The boss was also a neat idea, and suffers the same issues. Heck, there is straight up a lot of conveyance issues with the boss. As is, I really was trying to figure out exactly what was causing the cold, the hot, the in-between. But with how much stuff the boss spews out that covers the screen, it can get very difficult to keep track of whatever the heck is going on. Whew. A messy fight. But hey, at least it is original. Take this thing through a few extra drafts to get the difficulty in line, and trim it down a little bit, and you got yourself a real good level. Yeah, that was definitely an interesting one. One of those things where it really just smells that they didn't get enough people to play test it. Because, like, I see a lot of my own beginner level design issues with this stage, where you get the cool concept in there, but then you go ahead and build it, but it's really hard for everybody but you. A fire ice level, alright, could be interesting. To manage your temperature so you're in the right level of hot versus cold. A fine gimmick, and it's pretty interesting how it works with the ice blocks. I think the heat tellies made things more interesting, since now you can control the layout, and the stoke drops create very different scenarios. Rushing as fast as possible to the next safe zone. All this is pretty good, and then the level keeps going. It keeps adding more twists until it feels like you're trying to juggle 10 chainsaws while running screaming on a unicycle and trying to sing Quick Man a cappella style. Yeah, that's the big thing, is that trying to get enough people to actually playtest the level that can give you valuable feedback. Good playtesters are things that you really hang on to because, you know, it can make the big difference between something that's great and something that's really okay. And it's very tricky when there's like 200 entrants
all trying to get their levels tested.
That right there's the biggest flaw. Building on your gimmick is a good thing to do, but don't get me wrong.
But there's a time to stop. It's time to stop. Stop right now. Yes.
And Thermal Tundra flew way past it. The beginning sections are great. The heat gimmick's intro is very natural. Combo-Lankin and Fire Mets are excellent obstacles, and the Steam Vents and Heat Tellies add an excellent spin on the ordeal. Later on, the Stone drops an excellent example of how to twist a gimmick well with only a small new asset. The place completely changes into something new, eventually accumulating in a fun mid-boss, although the lava bubble is a bit irritating. Unfortunately, this drops the ball afterwards, big time. Instead of trying to stretch the heat gimmick out a little further, we trade off for a bunch of cold-based gimmicks. I get this is called Thermal Tundra, but there was already a nice balance between hot and cold. This new piece overcomplicates things to make matters worse. The player doesn't have nearly as much time to get used to this before it takes a nasty turn. Even just standing around can eventually hurt you, unlike the heat section and the auto-scroll mid-boss that stacks in everything is
too much once! I'm honestly not sure it can be done without taking damage, just using the buster.
There's just too much going on to track. Sadly, the boss isn't much better. Thermal Man isn't as frustrating as the death throes of his minion, but he has a similar issue of overcomplication. By my account, he has about 10 different attacks spread across 3 different forms, and this includes variations like the faster fireball. Having that many attacks could work, provided he had the health bar to use them. However, he dies quickly enough that it's basically impossible to see everything he has to offer. Much like his level, Thermal Man is too complicated for what he tries to be, and as a result, he just kind of falls flat. I don't like him, just like I want to like this level, but the complexity really needs to be toned down. I don't think I've ever wanted to like a stage, but just couldn't bring myself to, as much as this one. It has several things that should all add up to make a great level. Nice visuals and theming, an interesting gimmick, enemy and room layouts, synergy, and so on. Unfortunately, the more it goes on, the more its design devolves into pure chaos! To preface something real quick, although the main gimmick can certainly amplify things in a negative way, I don't think it's entirely to blame for this stage's issues. I actually found the temperature meter to be rather enjoyable to deal with for roughly the first half or so of the level. It gets applied in ways that manage to make things engaging, but not overwhelming at first. The section where you need to build up heat and then race to the end of the room to melt a barricade of ice blocks is a great example of this. Mainly since it's set up in a way where you'll most likely go through the room without filling the meter, which actually gives you a good preview of the enemies and obstacles you need to deal with. Sure, there's a bit of waiting involved with some of these setups, but you'll usually never be stuck sitting around for too long thanks to how quickly the meter fills up. Unfortunately, the rest of the stage doesn't really have the same sense of restraint. The stage does have a lot of waiting. I can only imagine that's going to come up in Ace's review. Herein lies the fatal flaw of the level. The temperature meter isn't the type of gimmick that works well when you have too many other elements to play. The cave section leading up to the magma devil, along with the mini-boss itself, already pushes the limits of what's manageable alongside the meter. As room layouts start to get more complex, enemies begin piling up, and a new gimmick that cools down your meter is thrown into the mix. Unfortunately, things just keep escalating from there. Kimimekins go from being a minor visual distraction to outright annoying with how many explosions they can flood the screen with. Challenges focus more on managing the cold meter variant, which gets tedious due to how slow some of the methods of decreasing it are. Also, the less said about the annoying process of getting the final token, the better. All this makes for an overly busy second half, which accumulates at the end into an auto-scroll segment so chaotic, I'd honestly be surprised if it was even possible to avoid damage.
Taking damage during it. There's two different judges that have brought that up. 2 of them.
As for the end boss, while he's certainly interesting, he unfortunately suffers from the same problem as the stage itself. He has too much going on. I didn't even get the chance to see all of his attacks the first time I fought him. In a way, I guess that can be seen as a positive, in that the fight never plays out the same way twice, giving some form of free playability. But I'm honestly not really a fan of missing out on a boss's attack patterns simply because they have too many of them. Even though the first is at least interesting, it's not enough to salvage most of what came before it. Overall, this stage didn't overload itself with so many things as it went on. This would have easily been one of my favorite levels in the contest. As it is now, though, I can't say I enjoyed it that much. Yeah, I think Shinryu's hit it on the head here. It's one of those things where they have so many things going for it, but then it just keeps going!
It keeps going!
Pachi is disappointed with you. Hot or cold? Hot and cold! I like the concept. I thought that the mechanic of managing your temperature in order to navigate through hot and cold obstacles is a really cool idea. But the stage is just absolutely brutal in difficulty. Too brutal that it's actively hindering the enjoyment overall. Oops. Gotta stop accidentally hitting buttons. A lot of the time, the stage asks you to do the section fast, either because you need to keep up your temperature high enough, but not high enough to hurt yourself from overheat, in order to melt the ice blocks at the end, or because of an enemy unleashing a full-screen attack if you don't kill it quickly enough. All while visually hindering elements are spammed throughout. Familiar entities don't act like their default counterparts and throw you off. One session often requires multiple retries just to clear them. Because of the abundant temperature gatekeeping, you're often forced to wait in a place to adjust into the right body temperature, as the level doesn't provide the most immediate means to speed up the process, be it a quick access back to the beginning should you fail the temperature race, or immediately putting you to an optimal temperature for each attempt. As a result, the stage just ends up in this constant shifting pace of waiting and speeding that it can get pretty frustrating. The final section, auto-scrolling, being chased by an indestructible mini-boss, meanwhile pummeled by its projectiles and other swarms of enemies, all while having to maintain the right level of heat to even allow yourself ground traverse while heat sources keep becoming absolutely scarce. Even more awkward as
They're in the form of steam puffs requiring you to stay in place while danger lurks all over. How are you expecting players to get through all this?
It's a full package of pain with extra dip. And then Thermalman, of course, you'd have to implement the temperature gimmick into the fight too. He's not so bad, I guess. But after enduring the whole stage and that extremely harsh final section beforehand, there was not much stamina left for me to really enjoy the remainder of the fun this fight might provide.
Look, I saw the deep breath. I did the deep breath and I saw the all caps. It was gonna come out that way.
At first, I was excited to see an interesting gimmick used in a variety of puzzle and speed-based challenges. I appreciate the sense of planning and structure for the checkpoints, challenge progression, and power-ups. I don't mind the busy visuals or innocuous music. I forgave the inconsistent technical polish, like having snow that melts beautifully, but ice that simply disappears. I had some reservations about the challenge design, unclear objectives, awkward backtracking, but nothing significant enough to keep me from having fun. As the level progressed, it became harder to ignore the flaws. The spikes blend in with the foreground, overdeveloped challenges ask the player to demonstrate mastery of each new element before being properly taught the basics. Extra audio/visual cues are desperately needed to alert the player to status changes and critical danger with the temperature meter. Yeah, the fact that I had to be constantly glancing at the upper right corner of the screen, that was the problem. I couldn't dodge projectiles properly because I had to make sure that my heat was at the proper level.
It's like I'm not driving here. I'm not just glancing down at the speedometer every couple of seconds.
Like standing around on one of those thermal platforms, the longer I played this level, the more it hurt. Everything completely fell apart when the freezing mechanic was introduced out of nowhere. Freezing doesn't follow the same rules as heating. The meter drains even when standing on normal ground, which reads as a glitch and makes the remainder of the level intolerably hectic. Players can easily skip over the tiles that trigger the freezing gimmick, rendering the level confusingly unbeatable.
Oh dear.
For as cool of a set piece as the chase sequence is, and I like the monster design, I can't imagine getting through it without utilities and E-tags, and it makes the otherwise acceptable boss fight feel underwhelming and even unnecessary. Who even is that guy anyway? I could go on criticizing, but almost everything comes back to polish. The ideas are great, the structure is great, the execution is begging,
Pleading for refinement.
What a mess. A really confusing, difficult, what the bloody hell just hurt me mess. I really want to like this level, because this is certainly creative. I actually think a lot of the stage layout just sort of works, and it has a dedication to its core theme almost unmatched anywhere. Ugh. The mechanics of the stage are introduced rather poorly, and so much of that comes down to graphical choice. Going against any expectations, a Mega Man player is going to have those steam vents? They don't hurt you. They don't hurt you. Not now. They're springs. Oh, but they may hurt They may hurt you sometimes, maybe. Icicles don't hurt you either, despite very much looking like they should. But they don't, except sometimes they do. It's because you're overheating and freezing, Ace. Don't worry, standing on lava doesn't hurt you either, unless you're hot when it does. Or maybe avoid the normal-looking ice platforms if you don't want to take constant damage every other second. Was the enemy from Tengu Man stage that creates an opaque clouds really called for? Was it? Does it seem like I'm rambling, sprouting a confused mess of run-on sentences? That's what this stage is like to play. I swear, trying to figure out what's happening at any given moment just sort of kills the momentum and concentration. It's hard to figure out what are at times some legitimately fun and original heat/cold puzzles. And please, in a level like this, where at any given movement, a stage hazard or flood is manipulating your hot and cold levels, where each different tile has a different function and an alarming number of instant death spikes blend in with the background, it's already too much! But the real final nail in the comprehension coffin is when the cold mechanic is introduced. I just about started to have a handle on it before, but I'm not sure how you can realistically manage all this, with many rooms being particularly hostile to temperature management. Hey, when the stage works, it really works. I want to like this level. I like its puzzles. I felt like very rewarded going and getting all the tokens. The mini-boss is neat, it looks pleasing, and it's just a really intriguing concept. But it's an utter mess. By the time you reach the outer scroller with the devil, my patience has ended. The constant barrage and spam of random crap and status effects on screen wins. Screw it, birdie tags, don't care. Normal Man's pretty much his stage condensed into boss form, except he's so slow to actually do any attacks, he dies well before becoming a threat. It's a shame, really. Really is another entry with a good stage buried in it. Go machinery on this one. Hey, I have my e-take slot available. Let's go buy a hat! I'll eat your hat! Superb! I'm afraid I've run out of boxes, so I'll put your pastry in a can and label it with an E so you remember to eat it.
Yo, Ringman!
Baguettes! I haven't made a single sale today. Everyone at the gym said they didn't want carbs, and everyone here wants a baguette. I'm not selling carbs or baguettes. These are bagels!
What?
Very long bagels with the
Middle's filled in, morons! Ringman! What is your problem, dude?
Dirter Man stage. This. My charcoals. Alright, clown, let's see your stage. They're on break, guys. Don't mind them. They are littering, though. And you know what we think about people littering? Put your stuff in the trash receptacle! Isn't it litter in this world without all of yours?
Donkey Kong? Donkey Joe?
Oh, no, you don't! No littering! I saw that, onigiri. Why are you wasting all your food? No littering! Ah, shit. We did have a good streak of no-Joes there. Probably the longest streak of no-Joes we've ever had. Yeah, I definitely have the 100 tokens by now. No, I littered myself! Please recycle the parts of this this body properly. I feel when I'm only using special weapons to get rid of the litterers. I'm sending a message, chat! Okay, I'm noticing a clear issue here. Is the thing to my left a pin or is it progression? Probably should be labeled better. No, I can actually shoot the barrels.
I see.
And apparently down is progression now, but I'm glad it was going that way, so that makes sense. No littering! Wait a minute. I gotta test something once we get back from here. Hey, where's my points? There we go. Hey, now it's time to see what these guys do.
Yep, I just had to test it. Oh, there we go again.
Keeps happening. No littering! I'll take that. See, shield, laser trident comes out. Douche. The litterers will be exterminated. Hey, where's my points? I demand my points! The barrels are kind of rolling out the wrong way occasionally. Is this gonna be Gutsman after all that? Oh right, Girderman. Sorry. I forgot we actually had boss name for this one. Oh god! So this one's really bothersome because you can't jump properly when he slams down. This will actually get easier as he builds floor for me. Alright, it's a bit of a race, boss. I get it. The intro actually demonstrated what it's about. It's a good touch. Alright, I'm getting cornered over here! Getting cornered over here! Damn, I'm in a bit of a predicament here! I couldn't move anymore, chat! It's like, I appear to be in a corner due to bad RNG. Me? Bad RNG? Never. Although this is almost entirely a enemy design level, so it's alright in that regard. Creativity. There's some nice stuff in here. Not huge on the creativity, but alright. Level was decently fun. Had a good time. Function!
I think I'm gonna agree with Flashman on the 3. In fact, I'm bumping it down to 2 because of the RNG on the boss.
Aesthetically, yeah, it was very boring. Also, a lot of issues with conveyance as to what's a pit and what's not. Let's see. 41. An interesting stage. This one. It is almost entirely enemy-based. Or it's obstacles, which can work fine. But there is, admittedly, not a lot of evolution with the setups as the stage goes on. Outside of the Donkey Kong segments. Even then, some of the low roof... Actually, nah, it's not gonna work because you can shoot the barrels. Speaking of those, there sure are a lot of them. And it was not immediately clear that you could shoot the barrels. Especially since jumping over one of them gave me that pleasing 100-point jingle. Certainly would have made a couple of screens easier. Had I figured that out sooner. I guess I should keep in mind those are supposed to be oil barrels. And not just wooden ones. The littering construction workers were a cute new enemy type. And I slayed all of them! Stop littering! Take your trash! To the nearest receptacle! Actually, to the nearest trash bin! You lazy bum! The stage is definitely not a looker. as the very plain construction aesthetic does not mix terribly well with the floor itself being a similar, actually, to the girders being a similar color to the dirt and ground. Makes for a whole lot of brown, you know? Even the enemies are the same general color. The aesthetic issues further by making it very hard to tell what is a pit and what is progression on some screens. Really needed a shadowy transition from the sky graphics to make it more clear. Girderman himself is a mess. A RNG-filled mess. Sometimes you get a nice flat section of ground that makes the fight easy. Sometimes you get cornered in record time and have to barely scratch out a win by using weapons that can aim upward. Not great. Only having one move certainly didn't help matters. It was a nice detail that the boss intro shows you the girder mechanic, though. Could be better. Could be worse. Oh man, I want to like this a lot more than I do. As far as pure combat stages go, this one is one of the better ones. The flying enemies with the sonic sounds make a surprisingly good timer gimmick. It's not just sonic sounds, they are sonic enemies! They're mania ones, so I understand people not being too familiar with them, but yes. And it's satisfying whenever you kill the buster only. The lunch workers are hilarious, and they make good obstacles to platforming. The drill enemies are a neat spin on Gavioles. And the first member of the Joe crew. The first member of the Joe E. This will work. There's too many letters. Too many letters. The J-O-E crew. It's an effective mid-boss, albeit overused one. Combine that with a distinct aesthetic and one of the more unique boss battles, and this has a likable concept. Yeah, there's a similar enemy to those in the very last stage of Sonic Mania, where you had to take them down, otherwise they'll hit you. But one of the weakest weapons here is the pickaxe to the face. There's a problem. The dev kit enemies are fine, unsurprising since they're included in the engine. But the custom enemies do far too much damage. I'm okay with it for the flying guys, since the odd bout of heavy damage is an okay punishment. But why can't the drills kill you in almost 3 hits? And why are someone's leftovers strong enough to kill you in 6?
Damn, alright. I didn't get hit by a whole lot of those, so I didn't get to find out how much they did.
Kong Joe! Donkey Joe! It's similarly awkward, since timing his attacks can be tricky and the damage punishment is harsh. Ironically, Girderman himself is the exception, since his explosive rovers do a normal amount of damage. He's one of the most balanced fighters of the stage, despite being a time limit boss with a spiky ceiling. Are there any issues with the stage design? Not really. Occasionally it can be unclear where you're supposed to go, since the death pits and safe pits aren't telegraphed. A little block on the death pits can go a long way. However, the damage values are tuned a bit too much, and that can make the experience frustrating. I can't say I was expecting some of the things that ended up happening in this level. It's certainly an interesting stage, that's for sure. As for it being any good, well... For one, the structure of this stage and the enemies slash obstacles are just strange. Almost everything here gets a proper introduction, but I feel like from there on out, the difficulty curve goes backwards. A lot of the early to mid-stage setups with the enemies can really throw you off if you're not paying attention. Whereas by comparison, some of the ending rooms with little to no Whereas it's very easy to breeze through some of the ending rooms with little to no effort. The green fly enemies are the main example I can give on this. They're certainly an interesting enemy type, and they have a few unique setups towards the beginning of the level. But by the end, it's very easy to either rush past them or dispose of them without having to engage much with their gimmick. Speaking of gimmicks, I can't say I'm fond of the little platform-based drill enemies, mainly due to how much damage they deal, as it's basically a 4-hit kill. Come to think of it, almost everything in this stage seems to deal a ton of damage for no good reason. The barrels from the Donkey Kong mini-boss have the exact same issue, and while it was certainly a fun surprise seeing that mini-boss show up, after about the 4th time, the novelty started to wear off. There's only so many ways you can shake up a mini-boss like that. I guess the token room is one of the more interesting examples of it, but said room can also easily glitch you out as well if you jump into the room. You can clip into the wall and have a pretty decent chance of zipping off screen to your death! Finally, there's Girder Man himself. He's a damage race and a surprisingly manageable one at that. I think that's mainly owed to him not hitting anywhere near as hard as the enemies found in his stage. Funnily enough, and while his fight is decently engaging, I do take issue with him not having a proper weakness. Outside of maybe Thunder Beam and Magnetic Shockwave, which deal the same amount of damage as a fully charged shot. Outside of that, one issue, he's a decently average DPS checked fight. It's a style fight. All in all, this level is pretty meh. There's some interesting ideas in here, but the weird backwards difficulty curve and the overtuned damage output for the enemies just kind of ruined it for me. Safety first, where I'm at! Something tells me Ahmet wouldn't be too interested in being bored on somebody's head. Pretty funny concept of a construction site as a stage, but don't let that fool you into a false sense of security, because oh man, this stage for sure doesn't pull any punches. First off, there are those flying green, I guess, drones? Their undodgeable attack is way too unforgiving despite the charge up time, as they are almost always out of the way, while being surprisingly beefy buggers. Scrolling them off screen to avoid their attack isn't always a feasible solution either. I like the concept of the worker enemies attacking you when just taking their lunch break and minding their business, except those items they throw out have a huge tendency of sniping you. Doesn't help that it's randomly determined if they're thrown towards your current position or a bit towards where you're moving to throw you off. Wait, those are actually aimed instead of being RNG? What the hell? A lot of these enemies deal way too much damage to feel fair, especially if you're only using the Buster, since they are either airborne and out of range or shielded. The Donkey Joes are the worst. They throw the barrels too frequently for the player to feasibly climb the ladder up to be able to shoot them, not to mention the barrels also spawn the fire guys who are destroyed. They're also way sturdy for no reason. Some of the rooms with these Joes are straight up near, if not outright impossible, to Buster only. Question mark? There's also a spot in one of the checkpoint rooms where you can get yourself stuck in the Magna Beam slide in the gap in the corner, a gap one might suspect to be a secret passage. And Girderman himself has an interesting fight, I guess. It sort of reminds me of a backwards version of the Plague Knight fight, where more blocks and are getting added to the fight goes on, leading you smaller areas to deal with until you unavoidably bump into the spikes. He's often too low to hit with uncharged Buster shots, or it might be because he has iframes during the falling animation. And charge shots are the way to go, as they can also get rid of the ground-roaming mines easier. Oh, you can also get stuck inside the falling blocks sometimes, that's also fun. To use a construction metaphor, this building isn't quite up to code, and a few renovations wouldn't hurt, but it's got good bones. Good bones? I can't say I've ever heard that construction term. I should start by telling you where your functionality score went. Mostly there were so many girders filling up the boss chamber that I didn't have anywhere to put those points. It's possible to get permanently trapped inside a falling girder, and it's all too easy to destroy Girderman in the wrong place at the wrong time, banishing the energy element somewhere inaccessible because the spikes and girders don't disappear with the boss! Oh no! Which is a shame because the boss concept is pretty creative. Really, the whole stage, whoops, the stage, the whole level, stage, excuse me, brings some fun new ideas to the table. I'm especially fond of the workers on lunch break and the genius of bringing in Donkey Kong. I only wish he were used more sparingly. Perhaps for token challenges to pressure that special novelty. Instead of most of my criticism outside of functionality comes down to what I'd like to see, not things that need to change. That's because the stage is built on a solid foundation of good design principles. I'm happy to see fair, focused, and well-paced challenges that allow the player to try different strategies and never demand more than the player can feasibly give. Sure, there are problems with unclear directionality, unrestricted backtracking, and not fully accounting for special weapon use. And I have some quibbles with how the screen count eventually makes the music feel stale. Custom sprites following different graphical styles. I can't even tell what the flying enemy is. Maybe a boot? And other minor things, but there are also very successful outlets. Excellent theming, nice looking tiles, and some great attention to detail. I love that jumping over a barrel gives me points. Yeah, I wanted more points! The detection on that's not particularly good. There's something rather cute about this stage. It feels straight out of the early fan game era. It's got a rather fun atmosphere, nice music, and frankly, at first, yes, the Kong Devil, as well as the good old Dig Labor having his lunch is rather funny. It's ultimately a fairly bog standard stage, a romp of enemy challenges, many of which feel rather haphazard. Screens get rather cluttered and enemies at arbitrary rates. The latter of which can lead to some rather silly cases of getting stuck in screen transitions aren't exactly obvious. The lack of tells to fits is equally irritating. Yeah, and to be fair, it's a single enemy type for the last area of Sonic Mania. Most people don't really remember that last stage because it's a slog. It probably is not for the best that enemy damage output is so high. What ends up hurting this stage the most is the fact that it's just so punishing. Making the more cluttered screens even more taxing to get through, and as cute as Kong Devil is, its difficulty varies wildly. Some encounters are non-threats and others are really obnoxious. And it's a joke that outlives its welcome, taking a funny instance to something that ends up eye-rolling the 6th time you fought the damn thing. Graphically, the stage is the biggest of the mixed bags in the contest. The quality varies so much that the clash is all the more noticeable as the simple but excellent tile set. A well-drawn Mega Man X enemies stick out like sore thumbs next to the poorly drawn enemy from Sonic Mania, and Gritterman himself. Oh hey, there we go. I do like the idea behind Gritterman though. He's a simple and yet interesting fight. Maybe it's just a sprite, but he feels straight out of the early fan game scene. He does look like something out of Mega Man Unlimited, yeah. I got a machinery on this one. If you like this in Terrible Thunder, man, that stage was
something.
I don't think I felt quite so overwhelmed throughout all this contest so far, other than that one. Constantly having one eye on the upper right corner of the screen, just going, is my temperature right? Is my temperature right? Okay. Great thing about being E is that I can attend a costume party and have myself a pizza at the same time. I was looking forward to ordering from Neapolitan Man, but he sent me away in horror when I asked for mine with extra cheese. Mercury, you don't understand that this is ice cream, not pizza! Not pizza! Step right up! My ice cream is made from the finest vanilla beans, cocoa beans, and strawberry beans. What's your stall so beat up? A highway robbery, to make a long story short. I do have a new wafer wagon, but I wanted to keep this for sentimental reasons. And I'm still trying to convince the insurance company I'm not lying about how it ended up like this. Can I get some ice cream? For you, it's on the house. I've been pallet swamped! Yo, strawberry though. Excellent. Can I like swap through colors? Vanilla? And this is chocolate? Okay, it just goes through the two, it looks like. Or is it random? Oh, it's random! Oh, wait on chocolate! We've got vanilla and strawberry exclusively!
It's really favoring strawberry right now!
There we go! Alright, we landed on chocolate.
Damn my RNG curse! Alright, let's go back to strawberry.
There we go.
Reliably landed on strawberry, hell yeah.
What's in the sign? Don't get me started on that ice cream thief. And I thought shipping my new flavors at 3M would deter robbers. Step back! Routine health inspection in progress! You smell like strawberry. Did the Neapolitan man send you as a bribe? He knows my favorite flavor is sludge ripple. An underwater adventure? Wow. Certainly a level name. Wow. One in 5. Well, let's see how it goes. Easter egg. Wait, what about?
There's nothing in here. There's no. I've cheated you. I've cheated all of you, and you didn't even notice.
I appear to be stuck.
I mean, that is accurate to trying to go above the stage and castle stages in SMB1, so I mean... Alright, nothing, you're stuck! It keeps happening!
Something's going on up here. Ah, bolts! Man, we haven't had a straight up, I hope I win!
In a while.
Hey, green lights think alike, right, Shidru? You get nothing! Good day, sir! That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Damn it. I activated that at the worst time. The audio's actually relatively balanced on this one. It might be slightly loud, but I mean, like, I'll take it. I really gotta pay more attention to the main beam steam jets because I've been getting hit way too often for those. Ah! I did only say slightly loud. Steam. Ah! So many steam vents! Oh man, where's my top spin? Yeah, the music's in game. Nope, the weird water transition there. That's like still on a checkpoint. Okay, there still hasn't been a checkpoint, and we have a token challenge coming up, huh? Just give me to the checkpoint. What? Is that really too close to... No, there's a water current, that's why. Oh, I have these things on a bad cycle. The infinitely respawning enemies are certainly an annoyance without this. Things are going a little bit smoother now that the old steam vents have disappeared for the time being. You can't drive your bike underwater! That's not allowed! Okay. Was that even on the map? I didn't even see that one blinking on the map! Is it too close to the screen transition? Oh, this is a gate. Okay. This thing, huh? Except now it's octopus flavored! You know, more than it already was. Oh, this combination is really annoying. Trying to fight with the Buster. They're probably gonna appear from the other side. Better off just completely ignoring. Ah! Where are you off to now? Okay, we're stacking on even more gimmicks. This is probably the part where we've gotten a little too far. Not in terms of, like, too many things happening once, but more. That was long enough to be a level already. Ow. so much stuff. Charge him up, and away we go. Yeah, we've essentially transitioned into another entire level at this point. And we're no longer even underwater! And yeah, now the music's too quiet,
Especially compared to the other songs so far in this stage.
We got underwater enemies outside of the water itself. Oh, this is just mean. I mean, I did it, but it's mean nonetheless.
Jump.
I gotta move. Gotta move. Are you serious? All of these at once, huh? 4 different blocks, huh? Okie dokie then. I'm just not gonna bother with the gimmick in this room.
Jump.
4 different weapon blocks, huh? Let's see what we got. Okay, treadmills just kind of be annoying and cause you to jump constantly. Got it. Did I spill water off screen? I don't think so. I think I just had a lot of extra time on that one, which is good. You don't have to overly rush, it feels like. Oh my god, what the fuck?
I didn't realize we went into the old Mario ROM hack side of things.
Hey kids, you want to see how many enemies we can fit on screen? Y'all like spike jumps? Y'all like a million spike jumps?
Did you get a spike top? Did you use 400,000 spike tops?
Whew, that was a weird visual. You know, speaking of overused Mario,
The tropes! Rising and lowering lava! Or in this case, electric water!
it's freaking super fast dolphins flying at your face.
Because of course! Literally everything in this level moves too damn fast!
Another coffee robot? Alright. Oh no.
No, not DOS Mega Man! Never mind! Consider my expectations subverted! Jesus Christ!
And he moves like freaking Quick Man! It seems to use a weapon based on his level of HP. Alright, almost got him. Could do without the screen flashing at the start though, but thankfully it's just the one time. Okay, it just need to play the intro every single time, that's good. Shows a genuine care for detail there.
Yo, I'm getting those dodges today!
Get him out of here! Alright, fun boss though. Ended on a good note.
The sunglasses and mustache, though.
Okay. Design's definitely taking a big hit for the sheer enemy spam, man, and the fact that the level's 2 levels. But other than that, creativity was alright here and there, but it really did boil down to just a lot of enemies. Fine, an alright time with it. Hey, Rankum, how's it going? Function well.
There was a couple of issues, as we saw.
Those screen transitions, man, they get everybody. Aesthetics, not bad. The second half looked a lot better than the first half, I must say. Let's see what we got here. 44. I'm over halfway through the actual contest entries so far with this game, but there's a lot more stuff other than that. Okay, so this level needs like 50% of its enemies removed. And more still slowed down. I do not mind a challenging level, but this is mostly just spam in that regard. It can also be a bit tricky to really pay much attention to things like steam vents and micromanaging Splash Woman mines when I have about 5 to 10 other dangers flinging at me simultaneously. That was definitely the main issue, though. Because otherwise, the other issues are more minor. One section desperately needed an extra checkpoint. Slammed in between it. The 4 separate power-specific blocks for a token during the water auto-scroll section. Well, rise of water. You know what I mean. Was just needlessly tedious. The dolphins! Just... Good God! The dolphins! Did you blink while stepping forward? Dolphin in your face! highlight here is obviously the boss. Sure, it isn't mashed together dev kit AIs, but like, it's done well. The expectation subversion is very good and funny. And the boss is not too difficult and way less spammy than the stage itself. Really good note to end on. And my goodness, yes, destroy DOS Mega Man. May his abominations of games be exterminated. Alright, and this one is obvious, but have you heard of this Good Mega Man level contest? I heard it is where you make one level and submit it for judging with attempts and it being good. Would probably have to divide. Would have to pick which of these two levels to submit, though. Underwater adventures, in many ways, are an old constant, and this one's not great. The water section is largely just there. It's got some good moments, like the swim balls actually doing things, the first token, and the water currents before the mid-boss. However, the endless pangs of the water current room get a bit annoying, and the first gas vents are hard to see when M422A is drawing your attention. Most prominently, there's not a lot of checkpoints, which makes the second token more frustrating than it's worth. Yeah, I'm kinda happy I ended up getting that on my first go. Yeah, you gotta have some restraint. You gotta know when it's time to snip the level. It's like suddenly going into an entirely different theme for another half of the level really emphasizes that you have officially made 2 levels. Ironically, the level doesn't come onto its own until it stops trying to be an underwater adventure. The brain base is better time. Piled ends and beateries handle quite well, and Machine Gun Joe is fair encouragement for weapon use. The sheep conveyor are also great at keeping the player's interest, and the electrocuted water works really well with Irukan and chase sequences. Unfortunately, Wall Ride is either useless or aggravating, there's no middle ground, and that chase sequence, that's when the level peaks. While there's an interesting concept behind the room of sheep conveyors that obstructs your movement, the gameplay itself is kind of boring. And the final section, good grief, the number of Irukans were just plain irritating. Not actually that deadly, just royally annoying. The bosses are as much of a mixed bag as the level. Kamigaro Maker is an effective mid-boss, and it makes a good optional challenge for goodies. Though just an M-tank seems a little small for a dual Kamigaro. The DOS Mega Man was a very unexpected ending, if not a tad jarring. But while he might be unfitting, he offers a fun variety in his fight. The problem is the hybrid octopus mid-boss. Constant swarm of enemies, the minions are manageable. Cummins hitting your head while you're trying to platform, that can be irking. First instance of sheep conveyors in the entire stage, that's not entirely fair to the player. The platforms last for barely any time at all, that's the point I break out Thunderbeam and tear this thing a new one. That thing was infuriating, it sticks out like a sore thumb in an otherwise fine set of bosses. I can't say I was all that thrilled by this stage. There's some solid ideas, a few decently designed platforming challenges, and an interesting end boss, but by the end, not much of this level's really stuck out to me. I think the biggest issue here is the stage's length. It goes on for a bit longer than it really should, with several segments that either feel like filler or don't account to much beyond throwing a couple of enemies your way. The only parts in the first half that really stood out to me were the water current segments, although I think that's mainly because they briefly caught me by surprise the first time around, until I realized they were indicated by the background tiles. Yeah, those are a bit visually unclear. There was also the Octobomb Generator, which, to be fully honest here, I'm not a fan of either of the mini-bosses that fully make up this thing. The combination of them wasn't quite as bad as it could have been, but I didn't exactly enjoy the fight either. You have to run on the conveyor a bit longer than the standard Octobomb fight if you want the platforms to even stay up for long enough so that you can get in some decent hits. The constantly respawning enemies make this process more tedious than it should be, since if they hit you, you're more or less already lost your chance to deal damage to the mini-boss. The second half of the stage is a lot better by comparison, mostly thanks to there being the more interesting gimmick usage. The shipment conveyors in particular get some good usage in a few rooms. The one that has you dodging the machine gun Joe bullets whilst trying to activate the list was rather fun, along with the hallway that repurposed the conveyors to be more like platforming obstacles. The electrified water sections would have been just fine, but they often ended up being way more annoying than not thanks to the Unocans. The respawn rate honestly feels like a bit too fast. Essentially, the second half is somewhat of a mixed bag of good and not so good segments. Thankfully, the boss sticks out as one of the better moments. He's probably the best thing about the stage, even if he takes a bit of time to learn as to quickly change his phases and attack patterns. Overall, it's a stage that's really rough around the edges, but I can also see it turning out great with some polishing. An entry review? Wow. You hoped you won? You hoped you would win! I have bad news then. You didn't win. Wait a second, I had to have a sting for that. This entry definitely feels like it took heavy inspiration from official games with its level design, but it just somehow seems even more frustrating to play. The enemy density is rather high throughout, with most of them being airborne and tricky to get by. Not to mention the sheer amount of instant death spikes because it's a water stage, and all water stages are required to have as many spikes as possible, clearly. Many of the enemies can infinitely spawn too, which makes several sections much more frustrating than they should be due to the overall chaotic nature. And of course, have to include the Octo Battery mini-boss with the respawning enemies on top. Joy! The worst offender would be the fact that there are not enough checkpoints to compensate for the high difficulty, the only mercy the stage could have offered from this big old gauntlet of pain. The only part I like about the stage is the usage of sheepman conveyors. That was a clever setup in the room with the machine gun Joes. The other redeeming part of the entry is the fight with Mega Man DOS. Definitely a funny twist on the whole coffee robot deal. Mega Man DOS himself is also actually a fairly reasonable fight itself compared to the stage. Whew. Definitely a welcoming climax change. Pardon me, but I believe you're looking for the Make 2 Good Mega Man Levels contest!
Yes! Yes, Flashman! Yes!
Which is down the hall. The splitting a level into radically different halves can work if there are a strong narrative, aesthetic, or gameplay connection. Here we have a few recurring enemies at a level title that really only applies to the first half. Unless, wow, it's what we're calling the second half.
That hall's getting crowded, yeah!
The first half's a fun romp. Catchy music and funny secrets make a great first impression. The challenges gradually increase in novelty and difficulty. Kamigaro Maker, water spouts, and rushing water are especially clever here. Graphics are a curious mix of colors and textures, with a few problems that could impact gameplay clarity. E.g. multiple spike styles, no visual cues for rushing water, background pillars that look like foreground, Octobomb, like many challenges in this level, borders on enemy spam and seems overly difficult for a no damage buster only run. The second half feels more professional and with fully cohesive graphics and a commitment to developing two main gimmicks: sheep conveyors and do not adventure in me water.
Do not adventure in me water.
In multiple creative ways. High points include the introduction of electrified water, the rising water area, the room with beeries, and the conveyors that power nothing and merely slow you down. The final stretch could have had a safer start, don't jump off that ladder, and slightly slower rising and falling, plus it's over too quickly. Thematically nonsensical as he may be. I love the boss, and thank you for skipping the intro on a retry. Yeah, that's a big one. Across both halves, power-ups are needed more between checkpoints than at checkpoints. There's death/soft lock potential accessing the first secret, and minor missing water collision around the M-tank later. Flashing lights could use some restraint. Either half would have been a fine entry. Together they compete against each other for the level's true focus and theme. One notable story involves Leon and later. He rather struggled with part of the stage, and to be honest, this is an incredibly difficult level. Most of it is fair with challenging mechanics, but has a couple of incredible spikes in difficulty, both figuratively and literally. This difficulty is compounded by a total lack of checkpoints. The stage is aesthetically pleasing, and some of the challenges were really cool. I like the use of MAGMML3 Maker and integrated into the level rather than as a boss. Not a cool idea. The water riding rushing tower was pretty fun, and as a whole, the tokens were pretty good challenges, although the first one's a little hard to spot. Beyond the difficulty, there are also several design issues. The water current direction has no indication, and there are a lot of enemies with weird movement patterns on screen at once, making it difficult to avoid them, or the instant death spikes around. There's a lot going on in the level, and it could have really done with cutting a few of the enemy types and removing the conveyor gimmick entirely. I don't think it added anything to the level other than frustration. This is a fun little contrast between literally all four of the other judges. This leads nicely onto the mid-boss. I'm trying to avoid swearing, but you have taken what is already one of the hardest and most unintuitive mid-bosses in Mega Man 10 and ramped it up to hecking insane levels. Hecking insane. This is the first time the player has encountered the sheep bed conveyor in the stage. Those who have not seen this before will have no idea what to do in this room. Case in point, I got to this firsthand. Leon hadn't played Mega Man 10, so cue utter confusion. This is a real roadblock for him, and I ended up having to show him the original fight. Ugh. Even to Mega Man veterans, it just looks like a normal conveyor meant to hamper movement, not an integral part of the boss fight. The new inverted layout does not help with the spawn locations of the little patchy-patchies. In the original, the conveyor belts were on the sides, so the enemies did not spawn on top of you. In order to get off the belts, the player must jump off the conveyor belt right into the natural path of the spawns. The block layout itself traps the player in it if jumping was mistimed. The blocks are not around for very long, and the random positioning of the cannon enemies means they can drop on your head, even if you do everything else right. You seem to rub salt into the wound. To summarize, this mid-boss is appalling, even when you know how the conveyors work. Let's just say it took double-digit minutes before it attempts using the Buster before giving up and using Thunder Beam, which bypasses the entire boss fight. I'm gonna have some credit in my ability to play Mega Man games, huh? It's like, I'm not the best by any means, but I do pretty good, I think. I'm not quite sure what DOS Mega Man's doing here, and he has a few smaller issues himself, mostly the blade launcher and force field phases. I'm not sure how dodgeable these are in close quarters, and force field in particular comes out with no warning. The rest of the weapons were decent enough. We're going with Flash Man! Flash Man! Alright, let's take a look at our different flavors real quick. Catch anyone licking you. I know where you've been. That's a very threatening phrase. Now the RNG dislikes vanilla. There we go. So help me if ice cream is being served on customers instead of cones. I'm shutting this place down. You know, can I have some more strawberry though? 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 Thank you! Yeah, I just wanted to get strawberry again. For some reason, this hot dog cart makes you nervous. Pea chip dispenser? Score, this vending machine sells chips! But they're all pea flavored. An ice cave in Russia by the Man Cut Man. are, 101. Let's go. This is watching the start. These always worry me. What do we got? Roll, if you find this message, you're in the right place. I replaced your shoes with heavy traction boots that prevent you from sliding on ice. That's all I have to say. Now I've abandoned you to the wolves of this great tundra. Go, my artificial child, and defeat the forces of evil. Oh, okay, it's just explaining why we don't slip. Yeah, we got more Mega Man 5 Game Boy music.
What are the tigers doing here?
Still efforts? Yeah, that can work. They're the right color. Damn it! That one's coming out pretty fast! The usual strat didn't work!
Oh yeah, Tigertron.
Okay, this is actually a bit of a problem, though. This platform really should be one tile higher. It's a little bit silly having to use the utility to get back out of the secret.
See you later, shield attacker! I guess it's gone now.
Ah! I see! This is to demonstrate frozen shield attackers!
Oh no, the tiger's frozen!
Definitely a lot of work in here to make these shield attackers work for the most part. Minus that one that just ran off. Get some grace points on that one. What? Oh, I see this setup is gonna be tricksy in terms of timing. But thankfully, they made the crystal ball very slow for that one. Alright, we got enemies starting to break the ice blocks now as well. Neat! Alright, let's go! Hiya! Made it! We're just doing straight up Gemini Man! We're doing straight up Gemini Man! Gemini Man! Got himself a plan, it's Gemini Man. Dear God, that laser hurts! Almost died, but we won anyways! It's Gemini Man. Too many of these boss fights are coming down with having like 4 or 5 health.
Too many skin in my teeth victories today, jeez.
Alright, this is alright. Let's see, design. I think it was pretty good. Creativity. There was a lot of good setups here with the... Okay, the crystal droppers can definitely be tedious, and I can see those, like, really disliking them. And it's definitely probably a bit on the harder side. Let's see. I'll give some points for creativity. I had a pretty alright time with this one, though some of those setups do get very dangerous. Function-wise, didn't run into any bugs this time. And aesthetics, they're slightly hard on the eyes since the fact that it's changing through colors so much, but other than that, it's a good use of different eye style sets. Hold on. Better leave this landed on. Let me just double check my math on this one. Gotta make sure. All right. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stop and go in terms of just trying to make sure I can cruise through the stage properly. Guys, I only said 60!
What's with all the nice thing?
Oh, I see. It's the bolt count. It's like, where's it coming from this time? Alright, let's see. A bit of a standard ice level, this one. But it works well with what it puts out there. I get the theming, but with the use of the Cossack tiles mixed in with Killman, amongst others. And this level clearly has a preference for Mega Man 5, as almost all the enemies featured come from there. Now that said, I can imagine a good lot of the Crystal Dropper setups will certainly frustrate more than a few players. Just because I got through them smoothly certainly does not mean everyone will. With most of them having the punishment of instant death, well, I can imagine that is going to irritate more than a few. The level itself has a very stop-and-go pacing to it, since you often need to make sure to evaluate what is going to happen before leaping in. That makes sense, given how much Chill Man and Shadow Man platforms are mixed in here. Lots of really needing to make sure you know exactly what you are going to do before you do it. There were some minor issues, like how one token requires you to use a utility, both going in and out of the area. The way back should have been risen by a tile to avoid a potential soft lock. Overall, though, I like this. It is probably tuned a bit hard and may go on just a bit too long, but it's perfectly alright. Oh, that's my mouse cursor on screen. It does that. Woo! Woo! An ice level without ice physics, I call false advertising. In all seriousness, though, this is a nice ROM. We've got a good selection of enemies, a gimmick set with strong potential, a solid difficulty curve, and nothing ever feels cheap. I adore the way shield attackers and drop platforms are handled in particular. They don't always work, particularly the surprise shield attacker on a tiny platform, but the semi-unorthodox challenges are a personal highlight. Unfortunately, the rest is underwhelming. This attempt, particularly with the chill blocks and frozen enemies, but this tries too hard to be a safe experience. The best example is the removal of ice physics. I get why they were taken out. Ice is usually annoying, but looking through the level, there are no instances where ice physics would have been unreasonable. Are you sure about that? It feels like the level is missing something as a result, and I find it hurts the level's memorability. It's not outright boring, but it's not something that sticks with me. As a final note, good grief, the ice cave tiles animate too fast. Definitely gonna have to that turned down for the game release, because that's hard on the eyes.
Oh, damn, alright.
To be honest, I kinda wish the stage actually did have ice physics. It probably would have made things a little bit more interesting that way. As it stands, there's really not a whole lot to this level. There's some decent usage of the Shadow Man platforms and ice blocks here, mostly when combined with shield attackers and indestructible blocks. With those few moments aside, however, most of the other platform challenges are very basic, which makes for a pretty indistinct and boring experience throughout. If it owns, being set up to free enemies just trapped on the ice is definitely the most noteworthy aspect of the level, which sadly only shows up for a very small section. I really wish it was used more, since it could serve as a pretty interesting obstacle to work around. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot else to mention here. The overall look of the stage is fine, and it's technically stable. The actual level design left me wanting way more. I do agree with the drop-down enemies breaking the ice not being used very much. It really lasted for like, what, one screen? Cossacks Frozen Citadel? Yeah, it's one of those things. It was years ago. It can be difficult to really try to figure out what your mindset was back then. Man, we often change over the years. An ice level without any ice physics to worry about. That's refreshing. Though I suppose that would make this less of an ice cave in Russia and more of a crystal cave in Russia. She's got a point. Decent level overall, with a few clever setups, like the room using the snowman enemy from below, while waiting for the Crystal Joe to become invulnerable. The ceiling fan blade enemies falling and freeing the orb enemies encased in chill blocks, and occasionally where you need to jump to shoot enemies high up without breaking too many chill blocks under you. Definitely some fine usage of the chill blocks. Level can use an extra checkpoint for the section near the end, though. The last section definitely gave me the most trouble, but there are many instant-death instances if you screw up one action, making you redo the whole section. Wow, that is one of the shortest reviews we've seen in a while, damn. It makes me so happy when people make an effort to do what this contest asks. There's a simple formula, and you've nailed it. Yeah, it's a well-done, regular level. Pick a handful of assets that make a reasonable amount of aesthetic and functional sense together. Introduce new challenges clearly and fairly. Gradually ramp up the complexity and difficulty across a manageable number of screens. Conclude with a challenge that feels like a fitting end to the level. Apply music and graphics that enhance the whole thing. I like the narrative introduction. It sets the tone and provides an excuse for having icy graphics without ice physics. The first stretch can be more intricate and resistant to rust jet, but it's a good warm-up. The animated snow goes a long way in keeping it interesting, and I like the attention to detail with one overhang blocking the snow from falling into the pit. The interior sections are fun, but need some polish. Unlabeled bottomless pits and big openings near the hard edge of any given screen are easily mistaken for alternate paths. Screen transitions need a thorough review for safety and appropriate directionality. I hate one-way versus two-way. A couple of power-ups would be nice. But like I said, the interior is fun. I appreciate the animated tiles, although I'd like to see the enemies in ice cubes concept developed a little more. Shield blocks have a chance to shine. The final stretch is the highlight of the level. Shadow platforms are used especially well. My favorite setups are over the Sumatran, between falling crystals and with the Crystal Joe after crashing through his shield block. Awesome use of this oft mishandled enemy. A few things could use tweaking, e.g. generic Gemini Man fight needs a gimmicky or architectural twist, but I'm overall very happy with the level. Good job on this! I have found that when I enter a boss who are hoping for a mini-boss, finding the final boss and ending up disappointed that the level is finished, it clearly reflects well on the level. The level has masterful introductions to established gimmicks, but it also shows in those introductions how the gimmicks combine. What's special about the level is that with the few assets it uses, it keeps introducing things to surprise the player, even gimmicks I had largely given up expecting new things from. Things like shield attackers and Shadow Man platforms are used with full purpose, and the Chill Man blocks are rarely used in the same way twice. In fact, the falling crystals in this stage are used for far better than either game they originated from. This is true. The stage is not without faults. While the tile work is well assembled, the fact that the entire inner cavern is the same animated block gets very garish at times. There's also something slightly off-putting about an ice level having no ice physics, even though you're trying to reason this at the start. Mega Man games are fairly well defined with how ice levels work. A further push towards the crystal theme rather than the ice theme would have made this work better. Look, I'm hardcore towards traditional level design, but even I'm just like, oh, the ice physics are removed, sweet! While not a direct criticism of the level, I do think you pushed the difficulty far enough when combining the gimmicks at the end of the stage. You did not? You did not think? Damn, moron! A few more rooms with your intelligent gimmick use that actually put the player in serious danger would have elevated the level significantly. I was also fairly disappointed that there was no effort in changing the boss, which could have been made more interesting if you'd added a couple of your gimmicks into the design. Gemini Man might not have been the best choice of Dev Kid boss. Overall, this level shows that you do not need to create original assets to come up with an original experience in a Mega Man stage. I think you did a fantastic job here, and I would love to see what you can come up with in the future. And we're going with Flash Man! The double whammy! Alright, Taco Man, what's up? Alright, Taco, or I'll make you listen to my song. Don't buy it, Taco. Brought this on yourself. Joke's on you, Taco Man! I have volume controls! Ah! You made your decision. Thank you. Valued customer! What the? Hang on, I need to retry.
I missed out on the actual dialogue because of the achievement pop-up.
Free song with every purchase! I have a free sample. Am I made of tacos? Maybe my song will remind you to bring more cash next time.
Okay, if you talk to him at all, you're gonna end up with his song. That's just how it goes.
My first Mega... Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
My first Mega Mix. Waffle, woo, X to the mouth.
S is for Britain. Napkin dictator. Megamix is the engine name for this particular setup. Mega Man engine. That's what the Megamix is coming from, not Rhythm Heaven. I understand the mix-up, but yeah, Megamix is the engine name. Pretty sure they might actually have a bit of extra health. They force beams. I saw them earlier. They were hinted.
Oh, Chad, it's coming! It's coming! I got caught off guard by this slow force beam.
Hey, an honest to goodness spike drop that has the screen transitions to be. Mega Man! Did you know that difficulty illusion is a good aspect of level design? Why does it hurt so much? There's a certain irony to that text box when I'm playing his role. Yeah, humor's always one of those things. It's like, it's either gonna land or not. There's not generally anything in between.
No, the force beam! It's coming! I mean, that's way funnier to me than any of the text so far. It's freaking slow force beams.
I do very much want this extra HP. There we go. Yeah, that's like the level design on Surface. Oh, it's coming! It's coming, chat!
Oh, they're both coming! I freaking love the slow force beams. They're too good. They're too good.
Oh Lord, they're coming! Oh, Gravity Man's back. It's a good twist on Gravity Man, but he's back. He's back again, and we're outside of tier 2. Ow. Damn, I almost do damage that. Close. It's possible for the energy element to fall in the pit, isn't it? I got a little bit lucky with how the back and forth spike ball was timing up on that one, I ain't gonna lie.
I'm still chuckling about the slow-mo force beams. They just look hilarious.
Alright, I mean, painful as the text was, the actual stage itself is good. Gonna give that a fair few points on design, I must say. Creativity, we had a good mixture of obstacles with the swinging platforms from Brightman stage. Certainly a lot more interesting than the Brightman platforms we used in the stage itself. Okay, that one's some good points there. Had a good time with this one. It was a little bullet spammy in some parts, but not bad. Function didn't run into any bugs or other such issues, so yeah. Aesthetics, just clean use of tiles. It's still Fortress theme, so, you know, could be more interesting to look at since the whole thing was essentially just the same. But, still a good tile set to use, and they were used properly. It's one of those things, all we're really asking for is just good levels, and we have ourselves a good level. Huzzah! 37. 65! Double checking that one. Yes. What's the verb doing up there?
We'll investigate the verb in a sec.
This is legitimately a first go at making a Mega Man level, or at least working with this engine. Good work! There's a lot going on here. That's just a very solidly crafted level. There are some central gimmick themes going on with the Brightman platforms. And the the boldness emphasis slow force beams. I accidentally hit a key combination that inserted an extra row. I really liked the slow force beams. Not only were they really funny to look at, it also twisted one of the more overused elements in fan games and fan works into something that radically changed how they generally work, how they generally go. Normally, force beams are these frantic rushes through rooms you only get a glance at, while the slow-mo ones mean you are still rushing, but you actually get plenty of time to analyze what's going on. Really shakes up the normal force beam room experience. Enemies throughout definitely had a focus on kind of tanky cannon based enemies. Bit on the chunky side this roster. Again though, definitely lots of bullets to keep track of. Closer inspection of this side. I'll write it in. I don't know. A lot of time to comment. You comment on this one. It was just a solid level. Nice little twist on Gravity Man as well. Though, I wonder if it is possible to get the energy element to fall into the pit if you get really unlucky with your timing. Probably wanted to spawn in platforms on the edges upon boss defeat for this one. Alright, let me take a look. Beef Beef Taco! Beef Beef Taco says I'm crunchy on the outside and dead on the inside!
Oh no.
I mean, if you are filled with meat, then you are technically dead on the inside. Especially when it's cooked meat of other creatures. I mean, those creatures are dead, therefore their meat has been cooked. I'm looking too deep into this. Yes! I feel like I've lost a few brain cells just from that name. Fortunately, behind that terrible name is a decent level, especially if this is actually your first. The main draw for me is how it uses Brightman's arcing platforms, as well as the force beam rooms being more interesting than average. It can get a little awkward, like introducing a new enemy type to the level as in a force beam room, but as a whole, the gimmick setup's great. The enemies are a bit less impressive. They're not bad, honestly, but they're mostly just basic obstacles rather than doing anything interesting. The main exception is the Dasho Unlimited, which builds up throughout the level to be a good mid-boss, and Gravity Man's fight with a Tachyon works surprisingly well. Otherwise, most of them are kinda just pushovers, and the attempt to protect them with reflect blocks falls completely flat with any sort of weapon application throughout that's not uncommon in Mega Man. Ultimately, the core weakness to this place is just a complete lack of wow factor. What we have here is reasonably built, but it's not exactly very interesting. It's a decent level that exists. I won't remember it very well, but it's an inoffensive romp that isn't outright boring, which is still fine. Yeah, it's just a solid level. Ah yes, I see you've played Diagonal Mario as well, if that one dialogue box is anything to go by. I remember that ROM hack now that Shinryu mentions it. I remember it a bit, mind you. Anyways, I was fully prepared for a troll level on seeing the name. Thankfully, that wasn't the case, but this stage is still very rough around the edges. For as daunting and intimidating as some of the room and enemy layouts here look, this was a surprisingly easy stage to breeze through. Unfortunately, that also makes a lot of the segments pretty indistinct in the long run. Some of the Force Laser segments do manage to be engaging, and mainly by sheer virtue of being race-to-the-finish style rooms. Beyond that, not a lot of platforming challenges felt like they carried much weight. To give an example of what I mean, you can basically face tank the final dash shown in the level with no repercussions, since there's the Ashishi in the boss corridor. Speaking of the boss, I appreciate the effort to try to make Gravity Man a bit harder, and that the gimmicks in the room are prominently featured in the stage itself. But in execution, it doesn't really do a whole lot. You might occasionally take a few hits from the swinging mace up top, but for the most part, you fight Gravity Man the same way as you always would. All in all, not a whole lot of this level really stood out to me in the long run. The ideas and gimmick combinations are there, but trying to look back at it, most of the segments are just kind of blended together. Sugoi! Kinda expecting a full-on joke level with that name, but... Nice. For a first level, that was surprisingly competently made, with a decent variety of challenges with the gimmick and an enemy set of doing a decent job complementing, and the difficulty is right. A pretty decent tiling job, but I'm not sure if the music is really fitting here. The only problem is that it kind of requires a bit of button mashing thanks to the increased enemy health pools, but that's understandable in order to make the quick lasers a bit more threatening. Also, the stage is a bit short in length. Are you sure? That felt perfectly reasonable to me. I really like Gravity Man with the extra obstacles in the arena, which definitely made the fight much more engaging. The fits are more than for intimidation, as you usually don't have to be close to the walls for Gravity Man anyway. It's very clever to put the swinging hammer in the middle to watch for whenever he flips the gravity to put you to the roof. Oh, sure, review. I mean, I'll take it. Did you know that introducing new concepts clearly in a controlled environment is a good aspect of level design? No, seriously, that's a real question. Ooh, to you too.
Wait, what do you mean 2 of them in a row?
Nice. I get a strange vibe from this level. Between the two, between the title and the secret area, it feels like this is meant to be a joke. But then everything else is pretty normal. Manageable screen count, checkpoints and power-ups at regular intervals, reasonably fun challenges, polished graphics, perfectly acceptable soundtrack. I can believe this is your first Megamix level, but why mention it in the title? Sympathy? Laughs? My friend, I can offer you neither. The aforementioned normal design elements are things I expect from every level, and they account for a good chunk of points. However, the challenges don't increase in difficulty so much as continually change to be roughly the same difficulty for different reasons. Unnecessary two-way transitions and some instances of wonky architecture scratch the polish. Conveyors aren't used to their fullest potential, and Grounded Man is an odd choice for a boss in this context. I sort of like that the enemies have more health than usual. I knew I wasn't crazy! Because it draws out their combat potential in these specific situations. However, using the same sprite as usual sets false expectations for how sturdy they should be. Setting damage lasers to move at different speeds was a smart choice, as was favoring the line-guided platforms with protective end caps. Even when the execution could use some tidying, and the challenge concepts are usually pretty thoughtful. Wait, were they just damage lasers and not outright one-hit KO ones? Okay. What I want most out of this level is a better sense of identity, bolder theming, a more assertive premise, that sort of thing. Give me something that's properly dab-worthy, ironically or unironically.
Freaking love Flashman's writing style, man.
I hate this. I hate the name. I hate his stupid face. You don't get to use a woo. Get out. Disqualified. Excluded. Banned for life. Burned it with fire. This reaction seems about right. In all seriousness, this level is generally above average. It offers some interesting play patterns, and its issues are not deal breakers, but hold it back. The background is reasonably tiled, but it's so generic, and I honestly am rather sick of hearing Wily themes at this point. Kinda feels like the name is the one memorable thing here. The use of damage force beams sidesteps one issue it could have run into, mainly removing forced suicides if a player's too slow, but also makes some of the challenges fairly non-existent. I think the right choice was made to use damaging beams rather than lethal, but could have done with some time layout tweakings. Many are just absurdly slow, not helping us that falling past draining lasers is such a non-threat that in testing I thought I could just fall through every single one of them without running into danger of dying. A mixture of single-shot higher damage lasers combined with the draining ones would give this level some teeth. There's a laser towards the end of the level that is almost a guaranteed hit. It comes out of nowhere without warning, and usually when the player is at the peak of a jump. I enjoy the use of Brightman platforms and Waveman maces here. Not too difficult. The platforms were definitely introduced better here than in Mega Man 4, I agree. And these gimmicks were placed well enough to lead to the occasional interesting setup, such as the fight against the dash shown prior to the boss door. You need to force the player to land on the platform here, though it's way too easy to fall past it, making the whole thing rather awkward to get back up, given the weapon set. Gravity Man shows some thought, but to borrow a phrase you said in the secret room gives a difficulty illusion. The fight ends up not so different from a vanilla fight outside of face tanking the mace once or twice. Not enough to swing the fight in Gravity Man's favor, but to be fair, it's a tricky fight to make something more interesting. Without straying into hot garbage design, so I'll applaud the effort. Do I go with Flashman or Patchy? I think I'll go with Patchy on this one. Let's see what's going on with this bird.
Oh, I've never been so full in my life. Looks like 3 potato chips is my limit. 3 potato chips.
How big were those? I was complaining that I didn't know how to use that one dating app, you know, the one, and this guy rushed over to help. It would bounce back out? Okay. Now I've got a hot date. If you still can't get a campfire going, just put your food on my head and I'll cook it for you. Oh, hey, Frostman, what's up? I wanted to crush the next simulation, but it crushed me. I tried for an hour, and then my processor overheated. I'm going to go back to the last simulation to cool down. I like that place. Pepsi. Pepsi. Okay, hang on, let's get to this one first. Can't be too distracted by what's coming up. Walk-in freezer. By mini macro sound. 1 and 3. Let's go. Ah, classic. Please tell me it's not going to just be the sound the entire time. Okay, good. And then went on much longer, my ears are gonna start aching a little bit. It's just at the right pitch to be annoying. Okay, good. But now we get a banger. I'll take it. Processing, 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 process. Oh god, it's so good! Yes! Yes, the build-up was worth it! The build-up was earned! I died!
Oh no, now I gotta go through the hum again! No! You should put a checkpoint when the music kicks in, just so you never had to deal with this again! Ah!
Okay. Alright, Chad, I'll try not to die, alright? Alright. The stationary barriers hurt me.
That's unfortunate.
Ah, they're invincible this time. Got it. Processing. 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 Yo, a couple more toys this time. Okay, I guess I'm doing the mini-boss for the token here? Oh, it's Iceman! Hey, Iceman! Are you still weak to... Yes. Yes, you are. Shame I can't pause switch him anymore. Uh-oh. Bit of an awkward two-way transition there. And I think the enemy just left the premises. Crossfire! I'm getting caught up in it!
They barriers! I'm gonna have to keep count how many times I walk into those. Oh. So tiny!
Invincible Crash Man, that can't be right. And then he's gonna kick in, he's gonna start moving, there we go.
Holy shit, the contact damage!
Why such a long introduction? Music build up. Yeah, presentation. I mean, it's still Crash Man, but
Damn, it's like a truck.
they can give me the 42 months of Twitch Prime. Are you gonna be watching even next week? Maybe a little. It's unfortunate the boss music was mixed a bit too low. I got a couple of toys. What do we got in here? It's a big fuzzy fella. A cursed plushie dug up from an ancient tomb. In stores now for $4.99 Zeddy. Also reminds me of the Lion Men.
Oh god, no! Not him!
Hang on, I'm taking a screenshot to send to Mike real quick.
I have sent Mike a screenshot! Alright.
Alright, that was honestly a really good stage. Just the right length. It was another ice level on top of ones that we've already played recently, but I mean, hey, I'll take them, they're good stages. Let's see, we had a good mixture of enemies interacting with the chill blocks as well, really focused on the chill blocks this time. It felt like another take on Chill Man's stage, but hey, I liked it. Let's see, good creativity for use of a whole lot of the chill blocks. Fairly enjoyed overall. Taking a couple of points off for the earache. There was like a couple of weird issues with cameras and screen transitions, but nothing deadly this time. And aesthetics are solid. Just like one or two spots that looked a little weird, but other than that, yeah. Let's see, 65. See, did Mike respond?
Yep, yeah, he responded.
Okay, first thing is first. Really needed to stick a checkpoint after the giant squid. Because I love the idea of the dramatic build-up before the super good jam starts by it loses effect on repeat plays should you happen to die. But I mean, who would die in a silly fashion before the first checkpoint? Right? Right? One might say, he sent me an emote of the same
Mega Man sprite comic face.
Yeah, come on, Mike. Also, the particular hum is deeply unpleasant on the ears when wearing headphones. Almost. It is a minor nitpick, but a nitpick nonetheless. I do appreciate that desire for presentation. The level itself was very solid. A clear focus on chill man blocks and many different ways to use them. This stage does borrow quite a lot from Chill Man, to be honest, but I think its sense of presentation elevates it to something of its own. The boss fight, while being standard Crash Band for the most part, once again, that desire for musical timing and presentation comes back. Now I hope it does not play every single life, because that intro can be a bit on the long side. I never actually checked. Well, anyway. The appreciation for music is clear, and the level was good. Okay, oddly ominous humming and gigantic squids whose missiles fly off screen are a strange way to start a level. Though introducing the core ice gimmicks, at least a smart way to start things. Thankfully, actual music started off right when the humming was getting grating, and it's a good song to boot, thank goodness. Overall, this is a bit more interesting than most ice levels. The gimmick set is standard fare, but I enjoyed the use of ice block puzzles without outright relying on Chillman's pink enemies. There's only a few scattered around here. Speaking of which, the primary enemies are very ice-heavy, relying more also on tech, swamp blasters, and invincibility, as opposed to the pang spawners and the odd swallow egg from Chillman. This works great for the techs. Having to work around them instead of killing them was an appreciated change of pace. The wall blasters, however, are a bit too random for invincibility to work, especially since the use of ice blocks makes it much harder to use a shield against them. Aside of that, the level's primary weakness is a flawed difficulty curve. The majority of the stage runs together in my head, and the hardest part is right after the second checkpoint. Being the one-time invincible wall blasters, techs, ice blocks, and pits, face death all come together. The ice-themed enemies are in a similar boat. The first swallow egg is the only time you fight two at once, and the second and last pen is a complete non-issue compared to the few peers. At least once you know he's there. Fortunately, the level has fun tokens, even if the transition after Iceman is a little awkward. If you aren't in the middle, but it wraps right back to confusing with Blue Crash Band. Why is his intro O Fortuna? Why does it make him invincible? Why does the Blue Crash Band get a fancy intro? Why does he have 29 hit points? These decisions fill me with questions. What? I have so many questions! right, the boss fight music was also too low. It was too quiet. Especially compared to the rest of the tracks in the stage. There we go. I'll fully admit I didn't care much for this level of my first time through. Subsequent playthroughs have since changed that somewhat, but the stage still isn't without its issues. I think one of the main problems here is the difficulty progression. Most of the ice block rooms are really just straightforward if you just observe them. However, there's a few in between that suddenly demand very precise movements. The room with the invincible wall blasters, 2 ice blocks, and a tech at the bottom of the screen is the prime example. It's easily one of the hardest rooms of the level, yet the challenges that follow it are nowhere near as difficult. Granted, these types of rooms are sparse, but the sudden difficulty spikes are still pretty noticeable. The 2 horizontal stretches somewhat fall victim to this as well, mainly thanks to the swallow eggs appearing near important jumps. The pen generator at the end of the second one is especially annoying since he can easily blindside you. Aside from all of that, there's not a whole lot else to say here. The other rooms aren't exactly challenging, but they're still somewhat engaging with how you need to approach them. I also appreciate that you can reset most of the rooms if you happen to mess up. As for anything else of note, the aesthetics here are alright, though I kind of wish that neat parallax background at the start had a stronger presence throughout the stage. That's an excellent point, actually. You get that really nice presentation at the start, and then it just kind of falls away for the interior. It would have helped give some visual variety, at least. Speaking of the start, I had a rather odd issue happen to me at one point during it, where dying in that section also caused the background ambience to stop until I reached the cave section. I'm not sure how or why this happened, and I still have trouble recreating it to this day, but it was certainly odd, that's for sure. Of course, this isn't the only music-related oddity here. Blue Crash Band's intro has you waiting for the full openings of the song to finish before you can actually start fighting them. While I usually enjoy timed music cues, I don't think this one was necessary, since you're basically just sitting there for roughly 10 seconds waiting for Crash Band to wake up once Oh Fortuna stops playing. It's a very odd ending to a very mixed stage. Freeze level, simply. I'm getting a sense of deja vu with the gimmick usage in this one. Although the beginning does not have any music, almost thought the files were screwed up somehow. I really like it's called suspense, but I'm being too nitpicky. I really like how the Chillman blocks are used here for platforming as well as puzzle uses, in conjunction with the ice physics blocks brilliantly. I am having trouble reading today. Having the frostband walls lying around is also pretty funny, for the fact that you still take damage if you're only casually walking into them, as opposed to crashing into them in the original context. There's also this tiny eye out of nowhere who dies in one hit. Silly. Although annoying that they're invulnerable, I was impressed that the turrets are actually made threatening for once. They're also manipulatable with their angle, and then you can just make use of the blind spots. Though some of the rooms can get a bit bullet heavy sometimes because of their invulnerable nature. The boss is just a standard Crash Band fight with a palette swap and an icy floor, and also poses for a while before the fight begins. Kinda weird. Does fit with the somewhat whimsical nature of the entry, I suppose. Whimsical's a good word for this one, yeah. Also, that nice flat, even 20 average. I mean, 60 average. It's a multiple of 20. Questionable choices and lackluster polish cool my enthusiasm towards this otherwise decent level. It's the sound design, prolonged awkward silence during normal gameplay, then suddenly overly intense music, then barely audible boss music. It's the layout crowded architecture, important objects hidden behind the health bar, split paths to who knows where, and a trapped big eye hinting at a secret path that doesn't exist. It's the unexpected nauseating camera shift and lack of a checkpoint right as the music kicks in. It's the inexplicable use of resized enemies. They're funny, but they don't mesh with the look or feel of the level. I don't know if I'd call it a walk-in freezer, but the level certainly feels cold thanks to well-themed assets, nice tile work, notwithstanding a couple of oversights, and eye-catching background details. Chill blocks are used thoughtfully in a good variety of situations. The first token and first screen of the lower path are highlights. Ice Band's a satisfyingly tricky, slippery Crash Man. Would be fine if not for the interminable, unnecessary invincibility. Gathering Coal feels underused, destructible pillars don't really add much, most enemies could stand to have a safer and more deliberate introduction. Depending on where you're standing, poor Pen explodes upon spawning. What? Invincible enemies give the level a kind of forced difficulty. Special weapons are often useless or a liability due to chill blocks, and the only reliable strategy is to rush through before anything starts firing. The interior challenges could be rearranged for a smoother difficulty and complexity progression with checkpoints at more even intervals. That said, the tech and wall blaster setups, while occasionally on the cusp of enemy spam, clearly had some thought put into them. Swallowing, which I normally find aggravating, isn't obnoxious here. The level's just the right length with distinct sections and a comfortable pace. With some adjustments, this could be a real crowd pleaser. Well, this is certainly the odd little stage. There's some really creative setups with the ice blocks, good atmosphere, and approach for challenges and enemies mostly. It also seemed fairly janky with the resized enemies, invincible enemies in odd places, and one spot where you get embedded into the floor after defeating the Iceman mini-boss.
It's very important that I have a rim shot on the soundboard because it keeps coming up.
Some things, such as the Frostman walls, just seem pointless and don't add anything to the level. And there's the odd enemy that just added nothing to the stage as well. There's an S missing there. As the Big Eyes and certain Genko enemies. A few enemies even despawn themselves before they're a threat. One of the worst aspects of this stage is just how backwards the difficulty curve is. The earlier portions of the stage particularly, the Chillman blocks, are much trickier than the endgame. And the level just sort of peters out and loses its momentum quickly. Still, I enjoyed the earlier chill block puzzles, and the level did offer enough safety nets and good design to buoy it a bit. You can reset most of these too, which is always a plus. Crashman himself? Well, the joke there was funny the first time, but perhaps after dying it should have skipped the cutscene straight to the boss fight. Okay, I'm going to dock a couple more points for functionality on that one, now that I have confirmation. Because I really shouldn't play again on the repeat. Since at that point you're just... The joke is done. You can't tell the joke a second time. Overall, the stage was solid. It's a real shame the difficulty had so little thought put into it. I think I'm going with Flashman again. You know, the funny thing is, when I went to the judge room and heard they had, like, red Flashman's write-up for his preferences and whatnot, I thought we weren't going to agree all that often, and yet... he's up there on the list of judges I've agreed with the most. Speaking of Flashman... I see that wink! It's the happiest he's ever looked! I normally would have ended on the previous stage, but I mean, I had to end off on the one that actually has a star around it. Flashman's gold favorite! Wily rooms of weapons! Fire Dragon photo. What? What do you mean? You don't want me to play the stage? Oh, is this one really, really, really long? Is it really long? Alright, I'll talk to the skip room NPCs. Ah, yeah, can't find my keys, man. Okay. I see. All right, we'll hold off on this one. I don't even have to talk to them to see this combination right here. All right, yeah, I don't have time to play an hour-long level right now. This level doesn't have many screens, but you might spend over an hour trying to solve the puzzles without a guide. Oh god, it's a puzzle stage! Oh no! There's an easier solution to beating each room, but you'll need to find the harder solution if you want the token. Finding anything is tough for me, but I always get it eventually, unlike poor Itchman over there.
Oh, it's a puzzle stage. Yeah, we'll start the next stream with this one. Yep. Me and puzzle stages don't get along at all, so this will be an interesting mix.
Oh always talk to our little McWiley's employees over here. There are no bones in our food! I repeat, there are no bones in our food! Well, except for the filet-o-phalanges. But we're upfront about that one. God. Just... Anyway, would you like to try our new McRib cage? I love flipping burgers with my feet! It's okay, I washed them! The burgers, that is! I wouldn't want the health inspector thinking I'm unsanitary! It's hard work keeping the soda pop carbonated. Do you prefer leaded or unleaded? Where's Quarantine Woman? We need to get this establishment shut down! We need it shut down! I demand it be shut down this instant! Oh. Alright, that's gonna go ahead and do it for today then. We'll save the puzzling puzzler here for the start of next time. If you enjoyed the content, please give it a follow. It helps the channel grow. Gets those numbers going on up. We do succeed here on Twitch.tv. Oh yeah, actually that's a good point. I didn't talk to her without having an ice cream flavor. Whoop! Hey! Hey! If this place passes inspection, a big hand will burst through the wall to give a thumbs up. I don't see a hand. I don't see a hand. It's because of McWiley's up there, isn't it?
It's because we're missing Wiley! Oh no!
Fresh meat.
Okay. Oh.
In the meantime, though, I'll catch y'all next time. I'm gonna be probably streaming some more Paper Mario tomorrow. I don't think we're gonna end up finishing it because the last area is pretty long. There's also a pretty significant chance that I'm gonna take on the pit tomorrow. We'll see. But for the time being, I want to call it there. Been batch of levels today, had a good time. A lot of just very solid, normal levels today. So we'll be starting off with something that's very not a normal level by the looks of things next time. Slight sense of dread, but that's just because of personal preferences more than anything. In the meantime, though, I want to thank y'all for watching once again. MAGMML3 continues to be a real good time, and yeah, I'll catch y'all later. But for now, I'ma go. I'm gonna cook some burritos. Yeah! Thanks for coming by, of course, Shadrio and Flashbet. Always good to see the staff dropping by. You guys, it's really good. It's really good.
You can't be overstated.
Oh. Until next time. See you later.